What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Morello Show, episode number 32. We're still going. We're keeping on going into the 30s. I, of course, am your host, Kyle Morello, and we have a great guest with us once again, second appearance on the Morello Show, Shaun Geddes from the Knicks Wall. How we doing?
Pretty great, bro. Pretty great. Honored to be back. As you say, episode 32, I'm just like, wow, I remember. What number was that episode? The first one?
You
You
were either
remember?
in the early teens or like the late single digits, I think.
I think it was late single
I
digits.
think it was. I want to say like nine. I want
That's
to say
dope.
nine. Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm honored to be a return guest. I'm happy to be here, man. How you
Thank
doing?
you. Hey, I'm happy. I'm good. I'm good. We're living life one day at a time. That's it's the only way you can do it.
It's a fact.
So yeah. Today, now last time I had you on, a little bit different tone. We were talking about the Knicks and the Hawks series that did not go the way that either of us predicted. Um, yeah, there's just nothing else to say about that. We just got dominated, but it's fine. This one is it's a little more serious though. We're gonna do another edition of something I did last year and something I'm very passionate about, and you are too, which is why I definitely wanted to have you on for this. Obviously, people know that May, if you don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's something that's come more to the forefront over the last, decade, maybe more. The importance of mental health, and obviously, we're both big proponents of it. So I want to talk about this. So let's get into it. First of all, the Knicks Hawks series didn't help either our mental health, but that's besides the point.
At all.
Yeah, I know. But I guess the first thing I wanted to start with is, what does mental health mean to you?
That's a great question, honestly. Um, I feel like mental health to me means, first of all, I think it's something that I don't know if everyone realizes, but I feel like it's a part of everyone's health. Like I think that some people think that mental health is only for people who are like diagnosed with a disorder or an illness or something. And like I don't think that's it at all. And I think that's part of what, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself in what I'm saying, but I think that's part of what helped me to accept my diagnosis is like the more that I read about it, I was like, this sounds like life. I was like, this sounds like life, and now so instead of being at a disadvantage, I feel like my diagnosis allowed me to take inventory and like start to tackle some things that I without the knowledge of that would have taken the time to. And so it kind of gave me like a handbook and a leg up over certain things and how to deal with certain things that people don't learn the process. So I feel like mental health is just that. It's being able to process who we are, what we go through, what we deal with, how you feel on a day-to-day basis, being aware of, aware, cognizant, and mindful of what you may be going through or how you may be reacting to what you're going through, and also how you may affect others and what others knowing, being able to see signs in your friends or whatever, or just be, we're all going through things at the end of the day, like every single one of us. And I like, it's commonly said, and I'm also a firm believer that like life is less about what happens to you and more about how you handle it, how you respond to it. So
That's
I
a
feel like
great
that's,
phrase.
yeah, I feel like that's a lot of what mental health comes back to. Just like, the overall encompassing of like how you operate inside, how you actually feel on a day to day, and, how you, take that into account and move throughout your own life and the world with it. That was a really long answer. I don't know if it made
No,
sense.
that was a great answer. I couldn't have said it better myself. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, to put it more bluntly than you did, you put it pretty eloquently. But to put it more bluntly, life gives you shit, and you're either going to deal with it or it's going to eat you up, and you're going to let it eat you up. So I think, staying in tune with yourself and your feelings and, everything like that, to make sure you deal with the things that, life can bring you, because even if you have really good days, you're also going to have really bad days too. That's unfortunately how life is, but it makes the good days that much better. So, dealing with things like that is definitely important. You touched on your diagnosis. I know you've tweeted about it sometimes too, and you can go in a little or as much detail as you want, but how did that kind of further shape the way you view mental health now? And like, did it change how you viewed it before you were diagnosed with what you have with now?
So yes. Okay, so the second question was, did it change? The first question was, how did it shape how I viewed mental health?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So the way it shaped, it definitely changed how I viewed it, because prior to my diagnosis and prior, I was like, for to catch people up or for understanding, I had a manic episode in March of 2017. I'd been dealing with depression for a while, but during that manic episode, or like while I was in a facility, they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder type 1. So it was like really new. It was a lot going on. It was like, but prior to that, I didn't really have a view of mental health. I didn't really think about it much. It wasn't like part of my day to day, like it wasn't something, it also wasn't as common of a topic throughout the world. And I think that's cool. I like that, now it's more something that people are taking into account as they speak to people, as they deal with people, things like that. It's like being put, up in level of importance more, which is dope. But yeah, I definitely changed in a way that I wasn't really very mindful of it beforehand. And how it shaped it, um, it did a lot for it, man. It did a lot. It did a lot. And now, like, it's kind of I kind of try to make I don't know how to word it. Like basically the brand I'm possible, like everything that I do sort of kind of comes back to that. Because I feel like in that moment when I felt like, my mom, okay, here we go. My mom wanted me to go to therapy while I was like dealing with the things that I was dealing with, depression and things like that. And I didn't want to go to therapy at all because I felt like going to therapy means something is wrong with me. Like that was my opinion of therapy. That was my outside opinion on, like, that was my view of mental health, I guess. Like, oh no, if I go to therapy, it means like something's wrong. Because people aren't as vocal about things like that, or weren't at the time. Um, and also just like, you know so when I got the diagnosis, I tried to make sure that I was as vocal as possible, because I know how alone it felt. Like I know how I feel like I could have made progress a lot faster if it would have seemed like something, like people show you like the highlight, and this isn't anything, there's nothing wrong with that. People always say that like it's something wrong with it. People aren't supposed to broadcast their like worst moments on the internet like that. They don't have to do that like, so
Yeah.
you see the highlights, you don't see the lowlights, you don't see what people go through, things like that. So I just try to be as vocal and open about what I deal with, because I feel like anything that I go through, and this is probably the most direct answer. I feel like I'm going around in circles
No,
a lot.
you're good.
It's probably the most direct part of the answer. But anything I go through, like as I go through it, I feel like I want it to be a learning experience for others. And because at the very it already happened to me. I can't go back and make it not happen. Like it already happened. So one, I should learn from it. But also, if me learning from it can help others also in any way, like if there's anybody out there, like if I tweet this thing right now and no one gives a shit, but one person needed to see that today, then I'm really glad I was able to help that one person with this experience that already happened to me. And that way it makes it a positive experience. Like my episode that I had, I was hospitalized for about 3 days. I don't even remember. I remember probably like 45 minutes of those 3 days. I was in a facility for about 6 days, and it was like, I was like, why can't I go home? I didn't understand like what was going on. Then I got out, and that was probably just the beginning of it. Like, like I had to relearn myself. I had to like relearn what happened. My episode and everything I went through happened on Periscope. So like everybody saw, like it was just
Wow.
a lot. Like, there was a lot going on. So like I really had to like figure things out a lot. I couldn't like actively do things. I was on a lot of medications. Like, I remember it was around this like I was falling asleep during playoff games. I wasn't finishing the second game. At the West Coast game, forget about it. Like
No.
I couldn't stay up, and then I couldn't like, because of the medications, I wasn't sleeping at night. I was seeing the George Lopez theme song in my nightmares because I just kept waking up at that time, and it was
Oh
just
man.
wild. But I what the main point of this is, I wouldn't trade it. If I can go back and make it not happen, I wouldn't. Like
I
I
mean,
wouldn't. I feel like I'm a much better person for it. I feel like, it's part of my story. It was able to like help me, become who I am, and it's a part of who I am. What they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but like I truly believe that now.
first of all, for being brave enough to share that, and your whole story and everything, kudos. Because like you touched on, a lot of people, especially around the time that it happened to you and even before that, wouldn't even dream of sharing mental health and their experiences and whatnot. So kudos first and foremost. But yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought, but it's very, very important that you talk about things, because one thing I did want to touch on is, especially with men have a tendency to, and this goes back to generations of fathers teaching their sons and so on and so forth, of being a strong silent type, and keeping your mouth shut and just going through things, and oh, tough it up and blah blah blah. And I think now we're starting to finally move past that. And there's a lot of break the stigma campaigns. I know the Indianapolis Colts are big with that in the Ursays and whatnot. But you see that more often. So like, is it easier or harder as a man? And like, what's the like the important level to you of as men sharing these things? Because a lot of men maybe are too afraid to.
It definitely is. Like, I definitely agree with you, and that's definitely a thing that happens. And I feel like, it's a lot of how we were raised. Like, it was, boy, don't cry or don't do this. Like, we're not exactly told to, and just on a global level, I guess, or maybe national, who knows? I don't live in other parts of the world. I don't know what happens over there.
Fair.
But we're not told to, embrace those parts of us, or like we're not encouraged to do so. And once again, things have progressed a lot, but like that wasn't something we were always told to do. So I think it's definitely healthy. And I think that, it probably can eliminate a lot of problems. And I feel like conversations can eliminate a lot of problems. And I feel like just like, people knowing that they aren't the only, and, it sounds like, oh, like, I feel like one conversation is changing, because I feel like years ago, like, I don't even know what time frame to point to, but just previously, people would say, oh, like, people are dealing with worse though, like it's worse somewhere out there, somebody has
Trying
it
to
worse than you.
justify things.
Yeah. And that's no longer the conversation. Now it's more of, there are other people out there who are dealing with what you're dealing with. And they've gotten, it's like, and I feel like that's a healthier one. Like, the one is like, hey, like, you shouldn't feel bad. Like, other people have it worse. Like, people are starving. Like, all right, bro, but like, today sucks. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But it's just like, instead, where it's like, okay, this situation that I'm in and this way that I feel, it's not unique to just me in the way that like something is wrong. Like, this is something that's human. I'm human. Other people have dealt with something like this and understand what I'm going through, even if people don't speak. So it's just like, I love the fact that conversation is being pushed now. Shout out to people in the NBA, especially like Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Love, like,
Yep.
and not just them, people all across, but like who have been, to have a platform and use it that way. And it helps. It does a lot. It does a lot, and it does more than they may ever know. Like I said, like I was saying, if it even helps one person, it does so much. So I think that's really important. And I'm glad that, men are starting to speak more on things like that. And then it's becoming more universally acceptable and appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, listen, for our men out there watching this, it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to, tell your dad or your parents or whoever that you're having a bad day and something's bothering you. And, maybe you want to try to fix it. And, like you said about therapy too, like if that's how far you need to go to do it, that's okay. Like at the end of the day, the point is to be happy in this life, because we live for a very short amount of time comparatively. Maybe like when you go through the years, it seems like a long time. You look back like, oh, something's 20 years ago, but we're here for such a short amount of time in the universe. And, you don't want to spend those days being down and keeping things to yourself that you want to get out, but maybe don't feel the courage to. So it's important to have those conversations with people. And the other thing one of the other things, obviously we're not done yet, but one of the things I wanted to mention to you was, peer to peer or friend to friend. Obviously, it's probably, I don't want to say probably, sometimes it's easier to talk to family members because, whether you're living with them or you're closer with them, blah, blah, blah. But it's not always easy for friends to talk to each other because, friends have the banter of making fun of each other and, just kicking it or whatever. And obviously, I think I mean, I know I have that with my friends and you probably do too. But, how important is it to, in your friend group or in any friend group, have those conversations with your friends and check in on them and everything like that?
Oh man, it's extremely important. It's extremely important. And it's like more, I feel like it's more important than we realize. And sometimes people say check on your friends, and things like that. That was like a tagline at one point. But like actually doing it, like carrying it out. And it's not something that like, I feel like it's easier than people realize too. Like people probably do it on a regular basis, but you don't have to sit down and have like an intervention or sit down. All right, everybody like write your feelings on a piece of paper and put it in a hat. Like, you can just have that
Yeah.
conversation. Like, because it's like at the end of the day, yes, you said like it's easy to talk to your family about it, but like I feel like you have more conversations with your friends, your closest friends, than probably your family
Yeah.
at this point in our lives. So it's like, and there's certain things that maybe people aren't as comfortable discussing with their parents or things like that. So it's like with your closest friends, you should have that relationship where you can speak about these things. And the way that I look at it, and the way I know how much my friends mean to me, and so it's like, if they can't say it to you, who can they say it to?
Exactly.
So it's important to check on them, but also, like, it doesn't have to be some, hey man, like, I just heard blah blah blah, but like, like, just, hey, how's it going, like, how are you really feeling? Or like, if you notice your friends like down a little bit, or like, one thing that I find important is like, if I notice patterns or whatever, like, or I don't see a lot of, like, I am on a different world in my phone sometimes. I'm like one of the worst people on my phone ever.
Me
But
too. I
like,
feel that.
oh, I'm horrible. It's so bad. But if I'm like on Twitter, whatever, I'm scrolling and I see like my friend say something, and it's like, like, I don't know. This looks like how are you really feeling? Like, if they sound down, if they disappear a little bit, like, even in your regular, not social media, not involved. Like, if you normally talk to this friend on like a daily basis, they're normally really upbeat, outgoing, things like that. And then you notice something's a little, just check. Hey man, how's it going? Everything good? Like, what's going on? How do you feel? If you know something happened to your friend, something's going on. If you heard something that was going on previously last week, hey man, how's that going? Like, did that get any better? And it's not something that you're going to do 100% of the time. And as friends, you should understand, they should understand that, but you guys should have that relationship where there's space for that. I feel like, because it's like, once again, like, if they don't talk to you about it, who can they talk to? And like, not being feeling like you can't talk to somebody about something is the worst feeling in the world.
Oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. Like you're like, oh, maybe, I'll talk to so and so about this problem. You're like, I don't know if I can even have that conversation. I mean, that's horrible. It's a horrible
Yeah.
feeling, like you said.
Yeah, like, because you got to get out of it, because the more time you spend, like, the less you get out of your own head, the more time you spend in it, which sounds like super cliche. I know, like,
No,
duh,
but it's
simple math.
true though.
That was like a Magic Johnson tweet. No disrespect to Magic Johnson, but but yeah, like, so it's just like, if they don't get to say that stuff to you, then and I used to deal with it, and I still kind of struggle with it at times, where like I would feel like a burden. Like, I don't want to talk to, like, I don't want to bring this out on people. I don't want to, I'm gonna deal with my problems on my own. That's very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. You back yourself
Yeah.
into a corner, and then nobody even really knows what's going on with you. And so, even from the standpoint of, you should check on your friends. Also, speak to your friends. Talk to your friends. Like, you might have something going on. Maybe it's not something you can talk to your parents about. Maybe your parents wouldn't understand. Maybe like it's a relationship problem, whatever it may be. Like, your friends are pretty much on that same level with you. They should be, if they're your closest friends. And have that conversation with them so that they can know what's going, because that's also a thing. Sometimes people will isolate themselves from everybody and then blame everybody for not coming to get them. And it's just like, hey man, nobody
I've
knew what was
seen
going
that
on.
far too often too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be vocal. You can't hold anybody responsible for anything you didn't tell them. You didn't say. Like, so if you say, hey man, like, I'm not doing so well, blah blah blah, I need people around me, or I, like, things are unfortunate right now, and your friends still just blow you up, then maybe I don't care. Maybe you're new friends. But like, if you don't tell them anything, there's no way for them, not everybody's going to be able to stop and identify and go out. Like, that's hard. We're all living our own lives. They have their own things they're going through. So like, there's just be that open exchange, both sides. Everybody should hear everyone else, and like, also be able to have that conversation. You guys can relate, and then you end up, well, like we were just talking about, you realize, oh, I'm not the only one that deals with this. Like, like, the more conversations we have, the more things become easier to understand for others and for ourselves.
Exactly. And it's like that famous Jerry Maguire quote, help me help you. Obviously, it's not in the same context in any shape or form, but help me help you. Like, if you're feeling down and you don't want to be feeling down anymore, talk to me. Have your friends talk to you, have whoever. It doesn't even have to be friends. It could be random people from the internet. It could be your parents. It can be your brother, sister, whoever. You know what I mean? Like, if you're feeling a type of way that you don't like, and you're feeling down and you want to let some things off your chest, let it off your chest. Talk. People are here for you. And that's like the thing. Like, I remember when I was, so probably the worst my mental health was, and I said this last year too, and I'll say it again because now it's a year out. It's a year out. It's a different perspective. But when I was living in Michigan, it was during COVID. I was 21 and moved to a state I'd never been to for my first job out of school. So like it was a challenging time for me. And at one point, I guess maybe a couple of my friends had picked up that I wasn't doing the best. And one of them texted me, was like, hey, like, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm chilling. Cause like, like kind of like you said, people just don't want a burden. And I guess I was feeling that way. And he's like, no, how are you really feeling? And I was like, yeah, it's a little rough out here. So that kind of is like one thing, at least that I went through, that, it helps a lot. It helps when people really, really care about you, especially people that you're really close with care about you. So It's very, very important. The other thing I definitely wanted to mention, we still got a little bit of time, but one another thing I wanted to mention before we got off, is support systems are a huge thing. And obviously, you never want negative people in your life, but having the right people around you is so instrumental. And like you said, making sure that you can talk to people and everything. So I just want to take a minute to shout out my people, and I'll let you do the same, after this. But obviously, my parents, my brother Zach, my dog Murphy, very important. My dog Murphy, that's my guy. My girlfriend Shelby, who's wonderful. And I'm so thankful for her. The round table, Buzz Culture, if you know, you know. Um, Everybody that I haven't mentioned, you know who you are, but you guys mean the world to me, and you let me be me, and that's a beautiful thing, and that helps up here a lot. So, just want to take a moment, a little emotional, but I want to take a moment. Thank you guys, because you're the best, and yeah, I love you guys, and that's the other important thing. Make sure you do tell people you love them. So
That's huge.
go ahead.
That's huge. I mean, yeah, like the support system is super important, like you just said. I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that I'm able to do on a day-to-day basis are just like, on smaller scales even, or because of the support system that I have, the way they believe in me. So, I mean, for my parents who are, they've always told me how great I was before I even thought that, or, it was just like, okay, like I'm walking, I guess, like I just, I
Yeah.
guess this is what babies do. Like they just always have told me I was great. They've always believed in me. They've always empowered me, and that's been super great. And I feel like it's really cool to see like how I was raised play out in who I am today. And like I think that's a beautiful thing. So shout out to my parents and my little brother. Like he's like, I don't know. I feel like that's part of what has always like I've always felt a responsibility, like to set an example. I've always wanted to be able to be someone that he could look up to. And I feel like that helped me to get through certain things, and still to this day, like that's still a driving factor for me. So that's really dope. My relationship with him is really important to me. He's very supportive. He's always there for me. He believes in me. He's super happy to hear about everything. Um, and then I mean, I my my closest friends, and like there's too many to even name. I mean, like the lead chat, the vibes. That's my brothers. Um, Beasley, like I am not who I am without her at all. Uh, let's see. Yeah, like I feel like when the part that sucks about starting to name people is that like
You leave people out, unfortunately.
yeah,
It's
and
hard, man. It's hard.
so look, if I love you, I love you. Like, and
Exactly.
yeah, like it helps to push me to where I am and who I am, and it'll never be something I let go of. So thank you so much to all of you and any of you who are part of my support system. And that even goes to like on the internet. Like there's some like people, like I have some really genuine like us, like this is really dope. Things are created through the internet that are dope. So I mean,
Yes.
like my support system extends like very far out. That's why I don't want to start naming people, because we don't have enough time for me to name everybody. I'm not gonna, so
Me
like
neither.
thank you.
That's why I try to wrap it up a little in bigger groups. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's really, really important to have that support system, because sometimes you can feel alone when you're going through things, and to have people there to either vent to or to be there for you or check on you or whatever it may be, it's very, very important. And the other thing to go along with that, I touched on it a little bit at the end of my shout outs, but make sure you tell people you love them. I try to do that at the end of every conversation that I have with my parents, brother, girlfriend, friends, dog too, all that. Make sure you tell your people you love them, because unfortunately life is, crazy sometimes, and you never know when that last conversation with someone could be. So make sure you're always telling your people you love them, even if you think it's corny. It's not corny. I promise you. This is life. You can have emotions. So tell your people you love them. And I'm sure you echo that sentiment too. But
Love is dope, man. That's why the top of the semicolon is a heart on the logo. Love is amazing. It's what
it
it
is.
really keeps the world going. Like it's like the currency that the world runs on at the end of the day.
That's a great way to put it. That's a really great way to put it. And real quick before you go out, you touched on the heart in your sweatshirt. I see the I'm Possible sweatshirt. I know you've had that for a little bit now, and you've posted on socials and whatnot. I saw the one about the Knicks colors today, so hopefully we get that pretty soon, and I'm probably gonna have to get one of them. But can you touch on that and the creation of it, and how everything got started with it?
So I'm possible. This is my brand that I have not run nearly well enough at all. It's very frustrating. It's part of what the
You got
brand's about,
time.
One of these days, I'm possible. I'll figure it out. But no, my mom actually, my mom's an author, and she used to always write about well, she had a book, and she also was like a motivational speaker and things like that when I was a child. And one thing she would always say that always stuck out to me is it was about turning impossible to impossible. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. And then I got a little older and I was like, I want to put this on t-shirts. And then I was like, hey mom, would you mind if I took that and made something out of it? And then she was like, oh yeah, sure. But the idea wasn't ready yet, I guess, because I just never did it. But
Yeah,
it goes for a lot of things. It goes to things to this day that I'm still haven't done. But
you and me both.
then I had my experience with the episode and my diagnosis, and then I started to have this different kind of view of mental health and this importance that it had to me, and wanting to be able to embody moving on and people not feeling alone and having something to attach to, and also just went with mental health. So that's how the semicolon came into it, with the heart semicolon, the mental health logo is semicolon for your story not being finished. And so that all came together, and the apostrophe, the semicolon doubling is an apostrophe within the word. I can't point to it, I'm all thrown off in the camera. But so that all came together really well. And then from there it was just I merged that with also just really wanting to believe in myself, and wanting my brand to be believing in myself so much that it inspires people to believe in themselves as well. And also I want to do so many things. I mean, I do a few things, but there's more that I want to do, and I don't want to limit myself to anything. And I feel like that is also what Impossible represents to me. And I also like it because even though yes, it's my brand, I sell the hoodies, things like that. I feel like some of the things I say sound like after school specialist sometimes, but I'm so serious. Yesterday,
Oh,
I
that's
had a
good.
show this weekend, and it was the second time I did the show, and over 100 people came out. It was amazing. It was
Hmm.
such a great feeling. I felt great, and I was telling them, I was like, yes, I host this show, I throw this show, but I don't see this as my show. I see this as our show. I see this as a space for everybody in the Broward County to come out and share their art and connect to people and grow this space together. And I'm very excited for that. And that's also how I feel about Impossible. I don't, my face isn't this brand has nothing, my face is not on the hoodie anywhere. It's not yeah, it's my brand, sure, but I want it to mean whatever somebody wants it. So to me, it's I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I know my things that I go through, things that I can make it here. I can make this happen. I can do television and YouTube and Twitch and music and put it all into this because I'm possible. But somebody else, it can mean that they're gonna pass the bar, whatever it is. I just want, one time I put on recently actually, I was wearing a Dreamville t-shirt and somebody asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm a huge J. Cole fan. Stan, that's my
He's my favorite
hero.
artist. You and me both.
This is on the best way to explain it. Impossible is my Dreamville. And
Okay.
so I've always studied how he moves with things like that, and I just always, so I love that. But I put the shirt on, whatever, and I was like, yeah, I put this shirt on good days, days that I either want to be a good day, if I need a really good day, yo, let me get that shirt, and the day's gonna be good. Or if I just know today's gonna be a good day, I might put that Dreamville shirt on. And so I want people to feel that same way about Impossible. I want people to feel whether it's the hoodie, whether the t-shirts that are coming out soon, whatever it is, first, the hoodies are they, when people say they feel how they feel, that's great. I love that. So I want them to love the comfort of it, but also how it makes them feel inside, and make people believe in themselves, because I think that believing in yourself is the best thing you can do for yourself. And that also, I hate some of the things I say sometimes. They sound so corny.
No, Shaun, it's not corny at all. No, because real shit, I have people in my life, and I'm not gonna name names obviously, but I have people in my life who lack some confidence and they shouldn't. And it's if you have that confidence, you can do everything you want to do. And the lack of confidence can bring people down. And it's probably happened to you and me both. I know it's happened to me. So confidence is really, really important. You got to be able to believe in yourself before you can believe in doing anything else. You know what I mean?
Facts. Okay, you get it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
No, of
sounded
course I
less
get
corny
it.
than the way I said
No, it's
it.
not corny at all. And listen, even if you're listening to this and you're you have those confidence issues or whatnot, it's not corny to just believe in yourself. Just say, because if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to? You know what I mean?
Literally.
You got to believe in yourself, because it can be everybody out there who that may not believe in yourself as much as you. So just whatever you need to do it. Believe in yourself. You got it. Don't worry about it. It's all gonna work out.
Nothing to it but to do it. Gotta roll up your sleeves, because if you doubt yourself, then who's supposed to believe?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really important. Like, trust, like, to this day, man, there's certain things that, like, I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I mean, but at the end of the day, yes, I can. Like, because it's
You and
like,
me both.
like, hey, like, I could possibly, I try to set, like, I like to set my goals, is like, okay, like, here's where I think it could go. Like, it'd be nice if it got here, but, like, here's where realistically I should get there. I try to give myself, like, so I don't go too far and disappoint myself, but also, like, I set one, and sometimes you get all the way there, sometimes you don't. Like, progress is a process.
Exactly.
And so, there's, like, to this day, I've been trying to put music out for, what are we in 2022? So
yes,
almost like over 7 years at this point.
Wow.
And I still don't really have anything out. And yeah, there's some things that I've done okay in. I've had some pretty good breaks in certain things, and life is going, but, like, like, I still have to take that step, and I've got to believe in myself to take that step. And so, like, you're never going to take that step without it. Like, a lot of times, and I do this a lot, I still do this to this day. That's part of why I posted that picture of the Knicks hoodie today, because this whole time I was like, I've had that hoodie. I got the Knicks hoodie and this red hoodie like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I was like, all right, I need to figure out the rollout. I need to figure out how I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And all that's happening in all that time is nothing is happening.
Exactly.
So it's like, all right, boom, here we go. Like, I didn't fully do it yet, but I took a step. Like, I took step one. Like, a lot of times I know I do it, and I'm pretty sure most of us do. If we got 10 steps to take, we're looking all the way over at step 10. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And
you just got to take the first one.
You got to take the first one. You got it, because you can look at step 10 for 3 days and get nowhere, or you can take step one and figure out how you're going to get to step 2, and you'll probably make more progress that way.
Exactly. Shaun, this podcast is literally an example of it. I was trying to do, well, YouTube stuff in general, but like podcasts. I had a podcast my freshman year of college, was like 4 or 5 years ago, with two of my friends, and like we did it for a little while and then it faded out. But I want to do something like this for probably at least 2 years before I actually started it. And like I had to build myself up to that point. And I was like, you want to do it, just do it. It's not that hard. It's not, oh, you have to get this certain microphone or you have to have this certain setup. Sure, setups help. I mean, this temple flag's pretty cool, but like, you know what I mean?
Dope.
Like, you just got to get out there, not to use Nike's slogan, but literally just do it. Like,
just do it.
Get out
use
there.
It all the time.
it's a great slogan. It's an all-time slogan. Like, just get out there. And if you're going to keep kicking yourself over what it could be, or, oh, I have to do this to get to this step, blah, 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 and you're never going to actually get to it because you're not taking that first step. You can't run a marathon until you take your first step.
Exactly.
So that's
can't run a marathon until you take your first step. I like that.
It's true.
I like that a lot.
It's true. Exactly. I just thought of that while you were talking, but it's true. It's true. But yeah, that's just about the time we have. But real quick, I just wanted to say, not even just because we're on camera, we're in front of a microphone, but man to man, I appreciate, everything that you do for mental health, and, going over some of the stuff that happened to you in the past, and with the I'm Possible, and, everything that you stand for. I love it. And please keep doing it. And I'm going to try to do better with it too, but keep going. I appreciate it so much. And I'm sure other people out there do too. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much, but that really means a lot. And honestly, I appreciate what you're doing for mental health, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I like struggle with, like, one, just not properly preparing for things and following through whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, also I get to a point where I'm like, even though this brand is related to mental health, and that's like, I struggle with the feeling that I'm profiting off of mental health. So whereas I should have been like super like, hey, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, here we go, I'm possible this, I'm possible that. Like, there's a part of me in my head that's just like, that's nasty. And I'm gonna have to get over that, because
I get
it. Yeah, so I haven't really, but for you to be having this platform and to be using it to speak on mental health and to think to, like, I'm glad to be having this conversation. I feel like I should have been more active about mental health during this month, and this is the most active I've been. So thank you for what you're doing for mental health. Truly.
My pleasure. It was a phenomenal conversation. And listen, like you said, listen to your own advice through this whole thing. Go, if you want to promote I'm Possible and you want to talk more about mentals, go do that, because I know you can. And you have the platform for it too. And, you have the merch and stuff. So I get the feeling of not wanting to profit off it. Maybe you can, look into things about donating different places and whatnot, but you got it. Don't fret about it. It's your thing. Promote it, get it out there, get the conversation going about mental health, because it's really important. So it doesn't matter if it's May or if it's June or if it's November or whatever it is, get it out there. But But yeah, that's all the time we have. So Shaun, thank you again so much for coming on. Obviously, much appreciated. I hope somebody took something good away from this conversation, even if it's just one person. That's
If you,
both of
even
our
if it's
goals.
just one
Just one
person,
person.
even if it's just one.
That's our goal.
So if you listen and you took something out of this, please hit me up. I hate Shaun. Let me know. I would love to hear that.
Yes,
Like,
and me too.
that's
Obviously, you know where you can find me.
SHAUN. Like, yeah, like hit me. I want to hear about that. I want to
Yes.
thank you for listening too.
Yes. And I was just gonna say thank you all for listening and tuning in as always. We'll have a conversation some other time about the next when those things roll around again. So I'll definitely have to have you back on.
The honored. You know the vibes.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that's all I got. So thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
Adios.